yeah. Are we live? Is it Thursday already? It's almost the end of this week. Wow. What a crazy week it's been for Star Wars news, as The Mandalorian, of course, got its movie, and what the topic of conversation will most likely be today, that Ahsoka Season 2 is officially happening. So this Ahsoka Season 2 is, I think, honestly, bigger news than the Mando movie. I know they're very similar in scope, but I think the Ahsoka show is going to be coming first, and this is something we really need to talk about. So let's dive into all of this. We got a lot to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. So, first of all, this last 48 hours, give or take, whatever it has been since this has been announced, has been absolutely insane. Star Wars fans have been going crazy. We've been having a lot of fun. It's been almost the exact opposite of what last week was for Star Wars fans, as last week was a lot of negativity and all this other stuff in the Star Wars fandom, where it was almost the exact opposite. The Charmin Obed-Chinoy, the Rey movie stuff, everybody was all negative. Everybody's like, oh, Star Wars is dead. And then this week, it's a completely different story. Everybody's excited for the Mando movie. Everybody's excited beyond belief for Ahsoka Season 2. And we could be talking about a possible trilogy in the Mandoverse era. So we're talking about something pretty awesome today with the Ahsoka Season 2, but we're also going to be talking about a possible trilogy. We're also going to be talking about what's going on with this Dan and Dave, I should say. Dan and David from the Game of Thrones. They almost had a Star Wars show, and it was pretty crazy. But we'll talk about all of it today. Wait, are we good? Excellent connection. But why does it look like that on my... Oh, I think we're good. Okay. Is the stream good? We good? I think we're good. Okay. Andrew, what's up? Tony, how we doing? Majin the Ruiner says, I'm ready for the Mando in the Darksaber to return. I think the Darksaber will definitely come back at some point. Maybe Grogu will forge it. We'll see. Aaron, what's up? Says hi. Aaron, we did your membership song on the last stream. If you didn't catch it, we could do it again today, but thanks for becoming a member. All right. Without further ado, let's get into the news at hand. What's up, Fearless? How we doing? All right. Let's get into the news at hand. So this is the breaking news that happened on Tuesday morning / afternoon-ish, give or take. This happened on Tuesday morning. The Mandalorian movie was announced and Ahsoka Season 2 was announced. So let's recap for everybody who wasn't there. Are we good? Hang on 1 second. Hang on un momento. Okay, perfect. Much better. Breaking. The Mandalorian and Grogu. By the way, what do you guys think of this name? Because this seems like it's going to be the name of the movie, and I'm not really digging it. I'm very excited for this Mando movie, but the Mandalorian and Grogu being the name of the movie seems a little weird to me. I don't know what the name could be or what it should be, but this just seems a little off. I don't know. You guys tell me. We'll go into production in 2024 this year, and Ahsoka Season 2 is in the works already. So, here we go. Breaking news. Lucasfilm has announced a new theatrical release, a new theatrical film titled The Mandalorian and Grogu, coming from director Jon Favreau. It will go into production this year. In addition, StarWars.com has confirmed that Ahsoka Season 2 is also in the works. So this is what Favreau said. I have loved telling stories set in the rich world that George Lucas created. The prospect of bringing the Mandalorian and his apprentice, Grogu, to the big screen is extremely exciting. So again, we talked about this. The parallels between what Jon Favreau said and what Charmin said are almost night and day. Jon Favreau thanks the creator. Jon Favreau gets fans excited, and Charmin does the exact opposite. She's pretty much putting down everybody who came before her. Whether it be a female character or a female creator, and she's angering the entire Star Wars fandom. So it's literally night and day when it comes to what Charmin said last week to what Jon said this week. And these are the creators you want involved with Star Wars, and those are the ones you don't. Pretty simple. Okay. Kathleen Kennedy added, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have ushered into Star Wars 2 new beloved characters, and this new story is a perfect fit for the big screen. Now, we don't really know if this is true. This last part. that this new story is the perfect fit to put onto the big screen, because The Mandalorian Season 4 was already written. It was written during the filming of Mando Season 3, meaning it was written as a 4th season of the show, meaning probably 8 episodes, probably a long, like some filler episodes here and there, a long story told out through about 6 hours. So it probably wasn't created to be a movie at first. However, if there's anyone that I think can rework a show into a movie, it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. We've seen it go badly with like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, but that's the reverse. It was a movie first, had to be extended into a movie, and that's kind of a little bit different. A little bit different. So turning a show into a movie is probably a lot easier than turning a movie into a show like we saw with Obi-Wan. So I do have all the faith in the world that Jon and Dave will be able to turn this 8-episode show into a movie, but it definitely wasn't originally planned to be so. Yeah. What's up, Hale? How we doing? Favreau, Kennedy Favreau, and Dave Filoni are executive producers on the movie. That's good news. No writer has been announced, but it seems logical to assume that Favreau will be taking that credit too. Plot details are unknown right now, so we'll speculate a little bit about what the plot is later on in this stream. But it is most likely going to be written by Jon Favreau. It seems like this movie has already sort of been written. It is going to start filming this year, so that's pretty exciting as well. Why is this doing this? Whatever. Pedro Pascal furthered the discussion on his Instagram page. This is where things get kind of cool. Simply adding that his story, Ryan Church's concept art, along with the Hey Mando theme from Ludwig Göransson, the very first piece of music used in the series. This likely confirms Pedro Pascal's development, quelling any fears he might be leaving the role. So Pedro Pascal posted this on his story, and with the theme that was for Mando from the show. Now, he didn't like say anything on this story. As you can see, it's a lot of blank space. He wasn't like, oh, really excited, blah, 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 blah. He just put it on his story. So obviously he's going to be back as Din Djarin. They're, I'm sure, paying him a lot of money to do so. So I don't see this being a problem where we're going to lose Pedro Pascal until his character dies off. There's definitely enough money to throw at this guy. I'm sure he does like being Din Djarin. Who doesn't like being in Star Wars? Breaking down The Mandalorian and Grogu. So, no release date has been announced, but Lucasfilm is saying that it will be the first feature film out the gate, ahead of the upcoming Daisy Ridley-led movie from director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, which was at one point confirmed to be the first of this new wave of Star Wars movies. So at first, it was supposed to be the Rey movie first, and now it's the Mando movie. Do you guys like that? Is that a good plan? It seems like a no-brainer, but honestly, it seems like a good plan. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's movie has been delayed. With The Mandalorian and Grogu going into production this year, they could very well make a late 2025 release date. Avatar 3 is slated for December 2025, though. So, let's talk about this for a second. They're talking about the possibility of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out in 2025, at the end of 2025, probably in December. Although Avatar 3 does come out that same time period, so that would be stupid, because we know that Avatar 3 movie is going to make a shit ton of money. But I actually don't think this is going to happen, because if you release the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, let's go full screen for this. By the way, guys, we are testing out this new Stream Deck. So we got a bunch of different buttons to do a bunch of different things. We got our intro song over here. We got me right there. Share the screen. The membership song. So someone's got to become a member today. We got
This is where the fun begins.
We got
Hello there.
And then of course the most important is me and Hayden. Okay. So yeah, we got this awesome cool thing we're testing out today. By the way, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 open spots on this. So if you guys can think of anything to put as a cool shortcut button thing, let me know. So let's talk about this again. This being put into that 2025 role, I think is a really dumb decision, because then you'll have one Mando movie in December of 2025. You'll have a Rey movie in May of 2026, and then you'll have another Mando movie, or the Dawn of the Jedi movie, I guess, December of 2026. So in one calendar year, you will have 3 Star Wars movies. I'm not complaining about that, but I honestly think that's a bad move. That's just too many movies. Honestly, it's just too many movies in one course of a year. Especially for Star Wars. You're turning it into Marvel at that point, and that's not what it's supposed to be. Yeah. Tony says, General Mike, you're a bit taller than I assumed. Yeah, I tower over Anakin himself. I'm quite tall. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep this article going. We heard rumors last year about The Mandalorian Season 4 possibly being retooled as a movie. And that was a part of the reason why we didn't they didn't get it up and running immediately after the strikes were over. While Lucasfilm hadn't confirmed that The Mandalorian and Grogu is indeed a big screen version of Season 4, the fact that they were going into production this year seems to suggest that. However, Deadline is reporting that a present and a 4th season is still in development, in addition to the movie, although the language used makes it sound like that is subject to change. So this is interesting too. A lot of fans have been talking online about how there could be the 4th season of Mando could still happen before the Mando movie. Now, I think this is absolute just wrong, incorrect. Oh, I gotta add Anakin saying incorrect as one of these buttons from Ahsoka. I gotsta. Okay, so it's incorrect because this movie is being turned from a show to a movie. That's why it's going to production this year, and Jon Favreau wrote it. If Jon Favreau already had Season 4 planned and a movie planned, then Season 4 would have to film first, and this movie is filming first. So I definitely think this 4th season is gone, and I think it has been completely turned into this movie. The reason behind the decision remains under wraps. We speculated late last year that this might be a way to get Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck's hands dirty with film production as they get ready to take on a larger role at the company. This might also not be the only film that goes in front of the camera in 2024, as the Daisy Ridley-fronted film should be moving forward independently of The Mandalorian and Grogu. So we should be having 2 films filming this year in 2024. The Mando movie and the Rey movie should begin filming in 2024, which is exciting because we'll get a lot of leaks, from plot leaks to set photo leaks to casting. All that stuff is going to be leaked out, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So that means 2 movies are going into production this year, and those 2 movies will most likely be both released in 2026, in May and in December, with Mando and Grogu coming first. So now let's talk about Ahsoka Season 2. Ahsoka Season 2 is officially in the works. We kind of suspected that this one was coming. We did. We talked about it. We speculated about it. But now, finally, it's been confirmed. But it's still nice to get some confirmation from Lucasfilm from time to time. Coincidentally, it came out just a few days after a new interview with Rosario Dawson that aired, in which the actress said Lucasfilm was waiting for the new year to make a final decision on whether to move forward with the 2nd season. With Ahsoka executive producer Carrie Beck and showrunner Dave Filoni promoted to new positions in light of the success of the series, it seems like a no-brainer that they will be doing more. Of course, now it's been confirmed. At the same time, the new season will inevitably delay production on the Dave Filoni-directed film, which is set to culminate the story of all of the New Republic-era shows. James Mangold is also directing a film set 25,000 years in the past. Stay tuned as the stories develop. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. So Ahsoka Season 2 is, of course, going to go into development. It will probably film this year, late this year, if not early next year, something like that. But it will hit the ground running really fast. Actually, no, it'll have to film earlier this year. It'll probably film mid this year, going into the later half of this year, and it will come out in the later half of next year, in 2025. Now, Dave Filoni is, of course, going to be the showrunner of this second season, again, like he was with the first one. So that's going to delay him in his production of his own movie, because Dave Filoni is supposed to be getting this Heir to the Empire-esque movie. Which is, I think, honestly okay, because now you have the Mando movie, and this Dave Filoni's movie is going to take place in the same time period. So now the delay of that movie might not be the worst thing in the world. Now you're looking at the Mando movie coming out in May of 2025, the Rey movie coming out in December of 2025, and the Dave Filoni movie, or probably the Dave Filoni movie, coming out in December of 2027. Did I say 5 or 6? So you'll have about a year and a half in between Mando movie and Dave Filoni movie, as far as it seems right now. So, with that being said, this Mando movie not only delays the Rey movie 6 months, it also delays the Dave Filoni movie a whole calendar year, which makes sense because now he has to do Ahsoka Season 2. I think that only makes sense. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. I haven't even had the chat pulled up all stream. This is a disaster. Hopefully you guys aren't going too crazy. Let's see. Oh, we got a bunch of faces in the chat. I love it. All right, here we go. Fearless says, I got the biggest smile on my face since we got all this good news. And I believe that The Mandalorian and Grogu is a working title. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if it was a working title, they wouldn't be plastering it everywhere. They put it in their article like 4 times. So it seems like they're going to either use this title or at some point they thought this title was a great idea and they should have plastered it everywhere. I'm being attacked by the aliens again. So, I think it could be the title of the movie. I don't like it, but it's possible. The Ruiner says, a better title would be Mando and Baby Yoda, straight money. Well, it's not Baby Yoda, as Yoda is dead. But maybe Baby Grogu. Hale, how's it going? Tony says, just like the movie that Dave is working on is titled The Dave Movie. You think that The Mandalorian and Grogu is a working title? Well, then wouldn't it just be called the Jon Favreau movie or the John movie? Like, there's no reason for this to have this working title when Star Wars themselves put it in their announcement as The Mandalorian and Grogu. Let's head over to X, formerly known as Twitter, really quickly. And let's check out this. So this is the announcement. The Mandalorian and Grogu are heading to the big screen. Now, this is not the title. However, The Mandalorian and Grogu will go into production later this year. But when you click on the article here, you see that The Mandalorian and Grogu is in italics, signifying that it is the title, and it's the only thing other than Star Wars, which is also a title, that is in italics in this whole entire article. It's again down here in italics again. And so is Ahsoka, which is another show or product from Star Wars. So it leads us to believe that this is going to be the title of the film. My question to you guys is that a good title? Because honestly, it doesn't seem like the best title to me, but it's not like completely angering me or turning me off or anything of that sort. So it could possibly be the title, but maybe it's a working title. If it was a working title, I feel like they wouldn't show us, because they're not gonna announce the title, full title of the movie until they release a trailer at Star Wars Celebration probably next year. Fearless says, "Come on, this can't be the actual film, the film title. Who really believes this?" I mean, I do. When you look at that article and look at all the announcements that StarWars.com, Star Wars themselves, have given us, it seems to lead us to believe that this is the actual title for the film. Now, maybe it could change. Definitely could change. Titles of movies change all the time before their release. So it could change, but as of right now, I think this is the title for the movie. Majin the Ruiner says, is anyone else tired of all this woman power? Just like Echo, The Marvels, Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka. I'm just curious. No, absolutely not. I'm sick of it when it becomes the issue, when it becomes the topic of conversation, like you just made it. I think when, like last week, when we were talking about Sharmino Bedchinoy, that was an issue. When Echo just came out, I haven't watched Echo yet, but tell me if you have it in the chat. I've heard Echo is actually extremely good. I had very low hopes for it, and now I'm actually excited to watch it. But The Mandalorian Season 3, I thought was very, very good. And, of course, Bo-Katan is one of the main characters in that. And Ahsoka? Really? Ahsoka. Really? Ahsoka has almost a fully female cast. Of course, you have Grand Admiral Thrawn and Baylan and Ezra, but you have Sabine, Ahsoka, Hera, Mon Mothma, Shin, Morgan Elsbeth. Like, the list goes on and on. All main characters, all female characters. And guess what? The show is fucking amazing. So there's nothing you can really say in the instance of Ahsoka or even in the instance of Mandalorian. And from what I hear with Echo, Echo seems to be a masterpiece. So, no, I'm not sick of it, because if there's great female characters like Ahsoka freaking Tano, then make her the lead of your show. Aaron says, go woke, go broke. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But having a female character be the lead of a show is not going woke. Because Ahsoka is a beloved character, and an incredible character at that. Ray Bans? Capia. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. John Mitchell, what's up, John, says, I think the Mandalorian movie will come out in December of 2025. They won't move the Rey movie to the date of May of 2026. They won't move the Rey movie from that date. John, I still disagree with you. You were saying this on Tuesday, and I still disagree. I think, especially because December of 2025 holds Avatar 3, they're not going to want to put a Star Wars movie next to Avatar 3. Avatar is going to get so many views. Like, I don't know why. I didn't even see the second one. I saw the first one, was not that impressed, did not see the second one. But these movies make a shit ton of money. And that means that if the Mando movie was to come out at the same time, it would be conflicting with themselves. Disney creates Avatar, Disney creates Star Wars, and they would just be butting heads with each other in the box office, and that's not what they want to do. I think you're definitely going to see the Rey movie be pushed to December of 2026, and you're going to have Mando in that May of 2026 role. Yeah. Tony says, General Mike, you're a bit taller than I assumed. Yep. I'm 6'5", actually. Crazy. Cappy says, so long till the Mecha movie. I'll be older by then. What the hell's the Mecha movie? I don't know what that means. Majin the Ruiner says, they need to put Mandalorian sooner, like the summertime of 2025. Well, they have to produce the movie. Like, they're going into production this year. To produce a movie, it takes a long time, so you're not just going to churn out a movie in less than a year. That's just not possible. So you're going to have to give it time to be good. Don't you want the movie to be good? Oh, Cappy said, so long till the next movie. I'll be older by then. Well, we'll all be older by then. Yeah, for sure. Fearless says, didn't they say that The Mandalorian 4 is still happening? Well, some people are saying that. Lucasfilm and Disney have not said that. Some people are saying that, but I don't believe it. I think The Mandalorian Season 4 is what's being turned into this movie, and we won't be seeing The Mandalorian Season 4. Majin the Ruiner says, Disney's bleeding money. They're going to have to fast-track this movie, and it better be good, especially after Deadpool. There's going to be nothing if you think about it. Well, that's because of the strikes. And honestly, Disney's not hurting for movies on the screen. You got Deadpool this year from Marvel, but you also have a bunch of animated stuff. You have, let's see, what's coming from Disney this year? Disney movies in 2024. You got Planet of the Apes, of course, the final one of that. Inside Out 2, Deadpool 3, Alien, a new Alien movie. Mufasa, which is going to be a Lion King spin-off movie, whatever. And there's more, actually. Hang on. Oh, these are just 10 new 10 new Disney movies. The Space Race, I don't know what that is, but it's a Star Wars Disney movie. Planet of the Apes, of course. Inside Out, Deadpool 3, Alien movie. The Amateur, which I don't know what that is. Mufasa movie. Young Woman in the Sea. I don't know what that is either. Suncoast and Connecting Worlds. I don't know. They got over 10 movies coming out this year, so there's no lack of releases when it comes to Disney in the movie theater this year. So I don't think they're going to push out a movie like The Mandalorian when they want to make it as good as it possibly can. They already have the release date of May 2026, and that will be the release date that they're going to take. Yeah. John says, the Mando movie in 2025, the Rey movie and Filoni movie, then James Mangold movie in The Force of the Origins will come out in 2027 in a later year. This would be amazing. It would be amazing, but again, it's not going to happen. That Mando movie is not competing against Avatar 3. Fearless says, wow, you're taller than Hayden? About 6'4"? I'm 6'5"-ish, give or take. Like a quarter of an inch or something like that. I don't know. I haven't measured myself in a while, but I cheated. I got surgery. But yeah, I think Hayden... Zap says, that's what I would guess. I think Hayden's like 6 feet tall. Let's see. Yeah. I'm slouched over too in that photo, but let's see. How tall is Hayden Christensen? Hayden is 6 feet tall. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Let's see. John says the movie is The Mandalorian Season 4. Yes. 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 This is where we find out that Baby Yoda, Grogu, is gender neutral. Well, I believe they've already said that he's a guy, but we'll see. Maybe Yoda's species comes out of eggs. Who knows? Well, I mean, it's possible, I guess. Tony says, that's a great idea to have Dave and Carrie have some training with the John's Mando movie first before they get to Dave's movie. That's true. They'll be producers on that movie, which is exciting. Yeah, for sure. Zap says, which aliens are attacking you, Mike? All of them. Oh, no, the ones from Florida, the mall in Florida. Those ones. Yeah. John says, what's wrong with the title? That's who it's about. Good marketing for casual fans. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst title in the world, The Mandalorian and Grogu, but it's definitely not the best. We'll put it that way. It's definitely not the best. Zap says, yeah, I hear that Echo is good. I got to try watch that. Yeah, I got to watch that soon. I've heard it's actually really good. It only came out a few days ago, and I wasn't even going to watch it, but now I've heard some good things, so we'll see. Fearless says, I've seen Echo, and it's good. Didn't blow me off my feet, but it was watchable, if that makes any sense. It does make sense. It didn't blow you off. We get it. No. So, yeah, I've heard Echo's pretty good from actually a few people that I respect their opinions, who I thought were going to say it was really bad, said that it was actually surprisingly good, so I'm definitely going to watch it. Mainly Minimal, what's up, says, people hating on Filoni. I don't get it. We are in for a treat. Yeah, I don't get it either. It makes absolutely no sense, all this hate for Dave Filoni. If you just look at his track record, how can you hate this man? He helped create the Clone Wars. He created the character of Ahsoka. He created Rebels. He created Mando with Jon Favreau. He created Ahsoka. Like, his track record is so damn good that there's, like, just no way that these people can sit here and tell me that that Dave Filoni's not the guy for the job. Even his smaller projects like The Bad Batch or Tales of the Jedi, like, those are extremely, extremely well-written stories and well put together, very short episodes, especially with Tales of the Jedi, that are extremely well told stories. Tales of the Jedi is like a 10-minute episode where we get 3 10-minute episodes of Dooku, 3 10 minutes of Ahsoka, and it's a whole entire story that is probably some of the best Star Wars content we've gotten in years. So if you just look at Dave Filoni's track record, I don't understand how people are crapping on him all the time. It makes no sense to me at all. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Majin the Ruiner says, Mando Season 3 was trash. Straight trash. Boca, how many times she loses... Bo-Katan, maybe? How many times she lose Mandalore? She's not the leader. They could have done so much better with that storyline and portraying Mando for the throne. Okay, I think I caught what you were saying. Mandalorian Season 3 is trash. Bo-Katan shouldn't have been the ruler, and they could have had Mando be to have the throne. I don't know. It's not lining up to me, but I disagree. I think Mandalorian Season 3 is a lot better than most people think, and it is pretty much the end arc of almost the entire Clone Wars series, Rebels and Mando, where the Mandalorians finally reclaim their home world, Moff Gideon finally comes to an end, and of course we get to see Din Djarin adopt Grogu officially in a sort of final arc type thing. I definitely think Season 2 is better. I definitely think Season 1 is probably better, but Season 3 is definitely not bad by any means. Yeah. Fearless says, Filoni knows how to make Star Wars. He's George Lucas's apprentice. That's my opinion. No, that's actually a fact. He knows how to make Star Wars because he has many times over again, and he is George Lucas's apprentice as he worked under him for years. So both of those statements are actually facts, not your opinion. Imagine the Ruiner says, by the way, your name is very fitting. John, the rating says otherwise. Only episode 5 with Anakin, and it was good. It was really good. How many donuts did Thrawn eat? What? I bet he has the Force powers too, since everybody's got it. Okay, so I think what you're saying is everybody's got the Force in Ahsoka, and only episode 5 of Ahsoka was good? And the ratings say otherwise? Let's go check out the ratings for Ahsoka. Ahsoka episode ratings. Because that can't be more wrong. IMDb, I guess. Episode 1, a 9.1 out of 10. Episode 2, an 8.6 out of 10. Where are the rest of the episodes? Oh, wait. Oh, here we go. That's... I lied. Episode 1, a 7.8 out of 10. Episode 2, a 7.8 out of 10. Episode 3, 7.4 out of 10. Episode 4, 8.6 out of 10. Episode 5, a 9.1. 6, 8.1. 7, 7.9. 8, 7.9. So if those are bad ratings, I don't know what to tell you. John says, I was 8 years old when the Clone Wars movie came out, and I'll be 26 when Dave Filoni's movie comes out. Going to be an insane experience. Yeah, that's actually crazy. When they come out, 2008. I was 6 when the Clone Wars movie dropped. 6. That's wild. Fearless says, I'm so old, I've seen Return of the Jedi in the theaters when it first came out. That's awesome, Fearless. We love it. John says, what are your top 5 Star Wars movies in order? Mine go A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and The Rise of Skywalker. Interesting. That makes your top 5? My top 5 are as follows. Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, Rogue One, I think these two are actually tied, but I'll put them in an order for you. Return of the Jedi, and then A New Hope. So, Revenge of the Sith, Empire, Rogue One, Return of the Jedi, and A New Hope. Yeah. Zap says, the Miami Mall aliens that were approximately 10 feet shadowy tall aliens. That's what people said. I guess so. And they must have been pretty damn cool. Yeah. John says, what are your top 3 live action shows? Mine are Ahsoka, Mando, and Andor. Live action shows? Ahsoka, number 1. Mando, number 2. Whew, number 3 is a little tough. Honestly, don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Book of Boba Fett. I know. It's Book of Boba Fett solely because of the Mando episodes and Cad Bane. That stuff is just too damn good. That 6th episode with Luke training Grogu with with the introduction of Cad Bane for the first time in live action might be the single greatest episode, or at least it's top 3, with the Luke episode and or actually, no, it's not even a Luke episode. The Ahsoka episode in Mando season 2, and of course episode 5 of Ahsoka with Anakin in the War Between Worlds. Boba Fett is underrated. I think it's very underrated. Yeah. Fearless says top 5 for me: Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi. Interesting. No Rogue One on that list. Chris, what's up? How we doing? Season 3 was great, but Season 1 and Season 2 of Mando were peak. Yeah, that's why. Season 2 of Mando was so good that pretty much anything that Season 2 could do Season 3 could do, wouldn't live up to the hype of Season 2. Yeah. Season 3 had one bad episode with Jack Black and Lizzo. That episode was something special. Yeah. Season 3 had too many filler episodes. I think that was the problem. You had the Jack Black and Lizzo episode. You had the Dr. Pershing episode. And honestly, even though it was kind of important with the Order 66 stuff, flashbacks with Grogu, it was kind of a filler episode. The rest of the episode just was spent with Din Djarin and Bo-Katan chasing a giant like dragon thing that stole Paz Vizsla's son. So, yeah. Too much filler, not enough killer. Jacob Myers was up. Jacob says, if Baylan Skoll gets recast, I hope he doesn't get killed off early because that would be a huge disappointment. I also hope that Abeloth appears so that she and Baylan can be like the big bads of Season 2. Yeah, Jacob, so we'll dive into Season 2 in just a second here as I catch up on these chats. I've been completely off topic already. But I completely agree. I think Baylan will be recast, and I think he will continue to be a very important character in the story going into Season 2. I think Abeloth will be that villain that we've been waiting for, and I think she's going to be insane. I think she's going to take over probably Shin's body. I think we're going to see a lot of really cool stuff with Abeloth, and then further down the line, maybe possibly either post-sequel world or maybe even in the Mandoverse, we get to see Abeloth come to the Star Wars galaxy and face against Luke Skywalker possibly and all these other heroes that we know and love. That would be so damn cool. What if the Mando movie introduces Thrawn as the main villain? The Dave Filoni movie has Thrawn as the main villain and he dies in that movie, or maybe he survives, doesn't matter. But the third movie of the trilogy, because I still think wholeheartedly that this is a trilogy, the third movie's main villain will be Abeloth instead of Thrawn. That would be insane. Nobody would be looking for that. Nobody would be predicting that. Nobody would see that coming. They would think Thrawn's going to be the villain through and through, and then Abeloth ends up being the main villain. That would be awesome. Chris says, do you think that Ahsoka Season 2 will have a CGI Luke Skywalker as a cameo appearance? Maybe not Ahsoka Season 2, but definitely the Mando movie and the Dave Filoni movie. I think Luke, Leia, and Han will actually all be in at least one scene together in one of those movies. But I think Luke will be a role because you're going to have a new threat to the galaxy. And right now, Luke Skywalker is not an old hermit on an island, so he's going to be one of the main people who have to fight back. So I do think you'll see Luke Skywalker in those movies, but in Ahsoka Season 2, I don't think so. I think Ahsoka Season 2 might almost fully be based in this different galaxy on Peridia. Fearless says, hey, I like the Book of Boba Fett too. It's not that bad. It's really not. It gets too much hate. I definitely agree. I definitely can't read that name. I apologize, but hey, what's up? Boba Fett intro slaps. Yeah, that definitely does. For sure. Fearless says, Rogue One is the sixth favorite for me. There you go. I like the Dr. Pershing episodes. We got to see Coruscant's Opera House and set up a lot of cloning stuff. That's true, but it didn't really lead anywhere. The whole episode, it was like 45 minutes with Dr. Pershing on Coruscant. I was expecting us to get something crazy. Some revelation about maybe Grogu cloning, or maybe the fact that there's a Luke Skywalker clone somewhere. Who knows? Or Snoke's cloned already. But that never happened. It kind of led to nowhere, except for his mind being flayed at the end. Rogue One is great, but it doesn't hold a candle to any of the Skywalker saga movies. I completely disagree. I think it's better than Phantom Menace. I think it's better than Attack of the Clones. I think it's better than The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, and Rise of Skywalker. And honestly, I think it's better than A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. I think it's the third best Star Wars movie. Just go rewatch Rogue One. It's a masterpiece. Chris says, do you think that we will get a separate Mando movie from... Do you think we'll get a separate Mando movie from The Mandalorian Season 4? No. So Mando Season 4 will be the movie. There are some people saying that Mando Season 4 is still happening. I don't know where they're getting this information from. It seems extremely unlikely as The Mandalorian movie is going into production this year. So unless they film a Season 4 between now and then it's not happening. So I seriously doubt it. Yeah. Do I like halal? Halal? Oh, like the food halal? I've never had it. Not gonna lie, I've never had it. All right, let's dive into some Ahsoka Season 2 stuff. This is the official announcement that came from StarWars.com. This is the artwork that Dave Filoni himself created. And I believe it's Dave Filoni. Yeah, that's his signature, I think. So this is the artwork. It's, of course, the Mortis God statue of the father with Ahsoka and Sabine standing on it this time instead of Baylan, meaning that these two are going to be not too far behind Baylan, meaning we are pretty much confirming that we are getting more Baylan Skull, and we're going to finally see what's at the light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, the light in the distance on the mountain. Hopefully it's Abeloth. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And as Tony just said, hit that like button, people. What are we waiting for? Hit it immediately. We only got 10 likes on this video. What the hell's going on? Jesus Christ. Okay, let's read on. Ahsoka Season 2 in development. New sketch revealed. The story continues. Following the news that Ahsoka Season 2 is in development mentioned in the announcement for the upcoming Mando and Grogu movie, again in italics, leading us to believe that this is the title of the movie. For Disney+, Lucasfilm revealed today a new sketch from the series creator, Dave Filoni. So it says the story continues at the top there. This is, of course, in the thumbnail of this video today. But that is the Mortis God father statue that we saw in Season 1. And Ahsoka and Sabine are now standing on it. The image depicts Ahsoka Tano and her apprentice, Sabine Wren, atop one of the ancient statues seen on Peridia in Season 1, with the words, "The story continues," in the sky. For more on Ahsoka, check out StarWars.com's Season 1 episode guide and behind-the-scenes images shared by the cast, and take the quiz, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's it from StarWars.com. However, we're going to talk about this article from Variety. I'm losing my voice, guys. I can't do it. Okay, I think we're good now. Me. I think we're good. All right. Ahsoka Season 2 in development with creator Dave Filoni, Lucasfilm confirms. Okay. Ahsoka Season 2 is in development with creator Dave Filoni, Lucasfilm has confirmed. The news came with the reveal that a new Star Wars film, The Mandalorian and Grogu, directed by Jon Favreau, which was unveiled Tuesday morning. The Mandalorian and Grogu will lead Lucasfilm's ongoing feature development slate, including films helmed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, James Mangold, and Dave Filoni, who is currently developing Ahsoka Season 2 amongst those in the works, the announcement said. Ahsoka, which aired its first season finale on October 3rd, stars Rosario Dawson as a fan favorite Jedi who's trying to save the galaxy from Grand Admiral Thrawn, a new threat after the fall of the Galactic Empire. Dawson first brought Ahsoka Tano to live action in The Mandalorian Season 2 and also appeared in the Book of Boba Fett. In addition to Dawson, Ahsoka Season 1 star Natasha Liu Bordizzo as Mandalorian warrior Sabine Wren, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as New Republic General Harrison Dula, and the late Ray Stevenson as Dark Jedi Baylan Skoll, Lars Mikkelsen, as Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Iman Esfandi as Ezra Bridger. The show marks the first live-action appearance of Sabine, Hera, Thrawn, and Ezra, who are main characters in the animated show Star Wars Rebels. Again, cannot emphasize this enough. If you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, it is the most underrated Star Wars content there is at all. Hayden Christensen also reprised his role as Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka's former Jedi Master. Other cast members in Season 1 include Ivan Soko as Shin Hati, and Diana Lee Insanto as Morgan Elsbeth, and David Tennant as the droid Hu Yang. Ahsoka is created by Dave Filoni, who has also worked on The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the series, and more, of course. The series is executive produced by Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Kathleen Kennedy, Colin Wilson, and Carrie Beck. Filoni, Steph Green, Peter Ramsey, Jennifer Getzinger, Geeta Patel, and Rick Famuyama directed episodes for the first season. Jeez, this is a lot of information and a lot of names. Other upcoming Star Wars series on Disney Plus include The Acolyte, Andor Season 2, Skeleton Crew. They only listed 2 here of many. Filoni is directing a feature film that is expected to wrap up his TV series storylines. So this doesn't really give us any information about Ahsoka Season 2 at all. It just recapped Ahsoka Season 1, but that's okay. Let's talk about Ahsoka Season 2 a little bit. Let's speculate. Let's get on the speculation bandwagon here a little bit. Ahsoka Season 2, what do you think is going to happen in this season? Because Season 1 had a very strict storyline that it was sticking to. It was the end of Rebels, Thrawn and Ezra disappear, and Ahsoka picked up right there. That's what the story was. How we're going to get Thrawn, how we're going to stop Thrawn, but also get Ezra back at the same time with Shin and Baylan and Morgan Elsbeth trying to get to Thrawn, and Sabine, Ahsoka, Hugh Wang, and Hera trying to get to Ezra. Both trying to get to the same place, both successful in that regard, and Ezra and Thrawn both got home while Ahsoka, Sabine, and Hugh Wang got stranded. So it was one full story through and through. There was no filler episodes. It was incredible and all that other stuff. However, what are we going to see in this second season? What's this story going to be? Is it just going to be about them trying to get home? Is it just going to be about Baylan finding Abeloth? Is it just going to be about Peridia in general? Because there's a lot of mystery when it comes to this new galaxy. We've only been to one planet in this new galaxy that just so happens to be the home of the Night Sisters. It just so happens to have Mortis God statues on it. It just so happens to have old ancient Sith writing upside down that talk about the ancient Zepho. Like, this one planet of Peridia is very important, but it's a whole galaxy out there. So I really don't know what this second season will be about. The only piece of artwork that we got was this Ahsoka and Sabine standing on top of the Mortis God statues. So I think we're going to learn a lot about the Force, that's for sure, in this season. A lot about the Mortis Gods, because to normie fans that didn't see the Clone Wars, they're going to be extremely confused. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff. Drink some water. I will feel this. Thank you. You're right. We're almost 50 minutes in, and I'm still on this cup. Here we go. Dun dun! I got to get like a song or something for this cup, but we'll get there. Okay. Hugh Wang. What about Hugh Wang? Did you call Hugh Yang Hugh Wang? Yeah, I did. What about it? What about it? That's his name. All right. What do we think is going to happen in Ahsoka Season 2? First of all, is Baylan going to be recast? Yes or no? Are we going to see Abeloth? Yes or no? Are we going to see Shin become Abeloth? Yes or no? Like, what are we going to see in this second season? Are we going to see scenes from the original Star Wars galaxy? Because we did in the first season when Ahsoka and Sabine and Hugh Wang and others were on Peridia. We actually saw some scenes from Hera Syndulla on Coruscant, and of course Thrawn arriving and Ezra arriving back home. We got to see some scenes from the original galaxy while the main character of Ahsoka was in the new galaxy. So could we be seeing both galaxies at the same time? Could we be seeing Thrawn taking over, possibly the New Republic getting scared about Thrawn taking over, while also Sabine, Hugh Wang, and Ahsoka are just hanging out, learning about the Force, talking to Anakin, having some fun, and then Abeloth comes in and eats their heads off? Like, what's going down in this season? That's what I want to know. Let me catch up on some chats. All right, let's see. Keto, what's up? Keto says, only two problems that I have with this show really is how powerful in the Force Sabine was, and the underwhelming finale. But I think season 2 will be even better. Okay, let me talk about those 2 points very civilly. You're wrong. Just kidding. So Sabine using the Force, a lot of fans like to complain about, and rightfully so. I think Sabine is a descendant of Tar Vizsla. That is confirmed, and I think that she's been training for over 15 years. She trained with Kanan Jarrus in Rebels. She trained with Ahsoka in between Rebels and Ahsoka, and she trained with Ahsoka again in the Ahsoka show. So there's some off-screen training going on. There's some on-screen training going on. And of course, she uses the Force to force a lightsaber to herself and to force push Ezra. Now, let's be honest, guys. The first thing you learn in Force 101 is to pull and to push. So it's not that crazy, but I do see where some people have a problem with it. I get that. And the underwhelming finale, I completely disagree. That finale was actually incredible. You got to see that amazing fight between Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka, seeing the end of Morgan Elsbeth's character. The undead stormtroopers were really, really cool as well. But it was more so the end. The setting up of Abeloth, the setting up of the Mortis God statues on Peridia, giving us Anakin's Force Ghost, having Morai be on Peridia, having Ahsoka say that we're supposed to be here. The finale of Ahsoka did a lot more setting up for season 2 than it did, of course, sort of ending off the first season. The first half of the episode did end off the first season, killing off Morgan Elsbeth, getting Thrawn back home, getting Ezra back home. But the back half of the season was back half of the episode, I should say, was setting up the second season. But those are 2 valid problems to have with the season, personally, for yourself. I just didn't have them. Fearless says, I'm still reminded of Valkyrin every time I see, the Legends character, from Baylan Skull. The resemblance is, there's a resemblance in the look. Yeah, I'm sure, honestly, we know Dave Filoni's a big Legends guy, so I'm sure he is taking a lot of Legends to create these characters like Shin Hati and Baylan Skull. I think Shin looks the way that she does with the white hair, the creepy, no blinking type character. I think the reason she looks like that is because she's going to eventually be Abeloth. Like, that's my biggest theory going into this second season is Shin will be Abeloth. I think she is definitely conflicted with the Force. We see that at the end of season 1 when Ahsoka offers her hand to Shin and she denies it, but she thinks about it for a moment. But I think Abeloth is going to take over her body because of how conflicted she is. And then when Abeloth eventually either leaves her body or eventually dies or whatever it may be, we could see Shin coming back to the light. I think Shin will eventually come to the light, but I think Abeloth will take over her body first. Jason, what's up, says, hi, Guten Tag, hello, how are you? That's a lot of different things. How are you? I'm doing good. John says, did you call Hu Yang Huge Wang? I did. What about it? Paul Little, what's up, Paul? Keto says, Malicos will return. That would be incredible. So I made a full-on video about this right after Ahsoka Season 1 ended, that Malicos would return, Terran Malicos from Jedi Fallen Order. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Give me a 1 into the chat if you played through Jedi Fallen Order, the first game. Not Survivor, Fallen Order, the first game. Give me a 1 into the chat. Because, actually, let's put up a poll, by the way. We haven't had a poll all episode. All stream. Are you excited for Ahsoka Season 2? Yes or no? You tell me. You tell me. So, in Jedi Fallen Order, you fight against a Jedi Fallen Sith named Terran Malicos on Dathomir. And you don't actually kill him, you more so bury him alive. Now, it's possible, because he has the Force, that Terran escaped that capture and still resides on Dathomir. And we know that Thrawn and his Night Sisters are arriving on Dathomir. And even if Terran did die in that instance, the Night Sisters could bring him back to life. So, my video, which was from months and months ago, if you guys want to go watch it, is a theory about Terran Malicos being the canon version of Jorah Sabaoth. Jorah Sabaoth in Heir to the Empire is a Force-wielding clone that Thrawn finds on Mount Tantus, and he uses him in his war against Luke and the others. So I think Terran Malicos could fit that role. He is also still on Dathomir, which would be perfect because Thrawn's going to Dathomir. It is a no-brainer. And Keto, I completely agree. I think Malicos will return. If not in this Ahsoka season 2, then probably in the Mando movie or in the Dave Filoni movie. I think Malicos will return. I do think actually we might spend some time with Thrawn in Ahsoka season 2. I think you will get to see Thrawn on Dathomir, building up his army, maybe talking with the remnant of the Empire, talking to the Shadow Council, planning some stuff out. I definitely think you could see a lot of that for sure. Yeah. John says, I think Peridia is Mortis itself. Interesting. I actually don't think so because, well, actually for a few reasons. One, I think Peridia is, of course, its own place. It's a new galaxy. It's a planet. I think the statues are there to worship the Mortis gods, and I think the Night Sisters once had a thriving kingdom there, like it was explained in Ahsoka Season 1. I think Peridia is more of a prison for Abeloth at this point. Maybe it was the home world of the Mortis gods first, and then they went to Mortis like they did in Legends. But Mortis, at least depicted in the Clone Wars, is a weird, like, I believe it's more so like a pyramid. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, in the Clone Wars when they come upon it. And I don't think that Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan traveled to a different galaxy to get there. It's a good theory. I just don't think so. I think it might be the home world of the Mortis gods, but it's not Mortis. So the gods are the ones, or whatever they call them, that are on Mortis. The reason that they're called Mortis gods is because they're on Mortis. I think they originated from Peridia, but now reside on Mortis. They're actually all dead now, but that's another thing. Tony says, can all of those open storylines be in one season? Well, no. A lot of it's going to be involved in the Mando movie, in the Dave Filoni movie, so not all the open-ended questions from Season 1 will be resolved in Season 2. I think more so why Ahsoka and Sabine and Huge Wang are on Peridia will be explained. Who Baylan's looking for will be explained. Why Shin stayed on the planet will be explained. That sort of stuff will be explained. I don't think a lot of what Thrawn's up to will be explained. I don't think a lot of Ezra and Hera and other New Republic stuff will be all that explained. But I think you will get more Peridia stuff explained than anything. What have you been saying all this time? I just found you, and I agree with all that you were saying. Well, I appreciate that, and I hope you hit that subscribe button if you just found me. But, no, much love. Yeah, we're just talking about Ahsoka Season 2, in the Mando movie. John says, bro, Peridia is Mortis, right? Like, am I missing something? But it's future Mortis. Like, what? Future Mortis? I don't think so. I don't think Mortis is Peridia, and I don't think Peridia is Mortis. I think they're two completely separate places. Majin the Ruiner says, the best that Lucasfilm did was bring Ahsoka to Rosario Dawson. She's an incredible actress, but the writing is bad. Well, I could not disagree with that more, but okay. Keto says, Thrawn could invade Coruscant. Yes, Keto. So this has been a very, 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 very big favorite of mine when it comes to the theories around what Thrawn is going to do. I really hope he takes over Coruscant. Again, we've talked about this many times on stream, but for those who weren't here for that, let me repeat myself. Coruscant is the main capital of the New Republic. However, by the time of The Force Awakens, which is in like 20 or 25 years from now, during the time of Ahsoka, Coruscant is no longer the capital of the New Republic. It is the Hosnian Prime system, and that's why when the Starkiller base blows up the capital of the New Republic, they blow up Hosnian Prime's system. They don't blow up Coruscant. Coruscant remains intact. That means at some point from now until The Force Awakens, the New Republic capital has to change. And why would it change? Coruscant has been the capital of the galaxy for thousands upon thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. So why would that change? What if Thrawn, the heir to the Empire, comes in and takes over Coruscant, just steals it from the New Republic, and the New Republic is forced to leave the planet and go find a capital somewhere else? And maybe that's the Hosnian Prime system. So I think that's definitely an incredible theory, Keto. It is perfect. I think it should happen. And seeing Coruscant get like obliterated by Thrawn, or even just a giant war on Coruscant, would be so cool. The planet that seems to be untouchable for thousands of years, the capital of the Republic, the capital of the Empire, the capital of the High Republic, the capital of everything, gets taken down by Thrawn. How cool would that be? I think it would be awesome. I think it's a no-brainer, and it would allow them to move the New Republic capital to somewhere else, the Hosnian Prime system. It'd be awesome. Yeah. John Mitchell says, I'm going to rewatch Ahsoka when I get back to school and rewatch the Clone Wars for the next couple of months. I'm also going to play KOTOR 2. Yeah, I was thinking about playing KOTOR and KOTOR 2, just streaming it on this channel. You guys let me know what you think about that. But yes, I got to rewatch Ahsoka very soon. I feel like it's been too long since I've watched it, and it's so damn good. Yeah. The Ruiner says, the first thing I would do for Ahsoka Season 2 would be to put Thrawn on a treadmill. The second would be to elaborate on Abeloth's storyline. Okay. What if Shin is Mara Jade, a new canon version? That's definitely a possibility. We talked about that when Ahsoka was coming out a little bit. I could see it. I think it's more likely that she is going to be the body for Abeloth. The sort of way for Abeloth to appear will be through Shin. But it's definitely possible that she could be a Mara Jade. I think Mara Jade actually still might be introduced. I think Luke might still have a wife, and maybe even a secret child, a secret Skywalker that a lot of fans have been theorizing about. So maybe we do get a Mara Jade alongside of Shin Hati. I don't think Shin is going to marry Luke Skywalker. The two don't even know each other. The two are in different galaxies right now. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But I definitely think Shin's character is a lot more important than we think. Jason says, I also thought about that. She really could be a canon version of Mara Jade. It's definitely possible, for sure. But she wouldn't be marrying Luke. It's more likely that she'll be in a relationship with like Ezra or something. Something like that. Fearless says, I didn't play the game, but I watched the gameplay on YouTube. I know who Malicos is. There you go. Yeah. So Malicos is a pretty cool character in that game, for sure. Majin the Ruiner says, what do you mean force push? She picked up Ezra and almost slam dunked him like she was Michael Jordan. No. She pushed him to the ship that he actually didn't make. Jason says, what if Abeloth was the one who gave the Night Sisters their magic? Or maybe the Night Sisters are relatives of Abeloth. That would be pretty cool. She's like the queen bee when it comes to the Night Sisters. That would be pretty cool, because it's possible that Abeloth was a Night Sister at one point. If Abeloth originated from this planet, from Legends, Abeloth is a normal human being. She's taking care of the Mortis gods. She's taking care of the daughter and the son, and she starts to age, and the daughter and the son are like, we should allow her to become a god and not age like us so that she can take care of us forever. The father's like, no, but Abeloth hears their conversation and goes and jumps into the wells that allow her to live forever and become this very powerful being, and she becomes evil. And that's when the Mortis gods have to imprison her on the planet. And we believe that all this stuff from Legends is actually turning into canon when Peridia is going to be that planet that the Mortis gods originated from. Abeloth is going to originate from this planet, and she is going to be a mortal being who eventually jumped in the wells to become a powerful being and turned into Abeloth. So it's possible that she could have originated as a Night Sister, and that's why the Night Sister Kingdom came to an end, because Abeloth destroyed it, turned this planet into a wasteland. That would be really, really cool, for sure. Keto says, yeah, Thrawn invading Coruscant would probably be something that they would save for the Dave movie, though. Maybe not, but maybe the Mando movie, you could see that at the end of the Mando movie, he takes over Coruscant. I think in Ahsoka, you could see him setting up for that, maybe gearing up with the Night Sisters and the remnant of the Empire. It's definitely possible. John says, is Jorah Sabaoth going to appear perhaps on Mount Tantus? I don't think so. I think Mount Tantus might be involved. Maybe Thrawn takes a pit stop there, and maybe the Bad Batch are involved in some way. Maybe we get to see a live-action version of Omega. But I don't think Joruus is going to be involved. I think, if anything, Taron Malicos will be the canon version of that character, but I don't think they'll have Jorah Sabaoth. No, I don't think so. Where is this Abeloth stuff coming from? Okay, so there's a lot of actually Legends books coming from the story of Abeloth, but I believe there's a 9-series book called Shadow Empire, or what's it called? There's a 9-series book. Somebody help me out in the chat. It's called like Shadow Empire or the Empire of something. I completely forget. But there is a whole series of novels all talking about the origins of Abeloth. This is when she exists in the Legends in these books. This is when she takes over. This is when she fights Luke. This is when she takes over the galaxy, all this stuff. So the whole Abeloth story is coming from Legends. And this Legends is just being adapted into canon, just the same way that Heir to the Empire is. Just the same way that Thrawn is going to become Heir to the Empire in canon right now. That's being adapted from Legends. Now, it's not the exact same story, but it will be an adaptation of that story. Christopher Maynard, what's up, Christopher, says, Disney Star Wars is not my Star Wars. That's unfortunate. You hate to see that. A lot of Disney Star Wars stuff is very controversial. The sequel trilogy, of course, is the big one. But when it comes to Disney Star Wars, honestly, they've made their mistakes, 100%. I'll be the first to tell you that they're stupid and they're dumb and they're dumb and they're stupid and they're stupid and they're dumb. But you can't deny that The Mandalorian is incredible. You can't deny that Rogue One is spectacular, a masterpiece. And you can't deny that Ahsoka was very, very good as well. So you can't just sit here and tell me that everything that Disney creates is bad, because you got Clone Wars Season 7, you got Rebels, you got Tales of the Jedi, you got Ahsoka, you got Mando, you got Rogue One, you got etc. Yeah. I think there's a high chance that we see Thrawn in the Bad Batch Season 3. Ooh, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, why not? Give us some more Thrawn in animation. That would be actually really cool, because that would also tie him to Mount Tantus, allowing us to know that he knows where Mount Tantus is, and that would allow us to see him go to Mount Tantus in live action later on. Yeah. John says, yet you are here, Christopher. Yeah. Majin the Ruiner says, Luke Skywalker in the book was way too strong. He couldn't even kill Abeloth. She was in a prison in the black hole and was put there by the brother and the sister. If Luke didn't kill her at his prime, then Rey is going to have to, because she's the strongest Jedi ever. Well, yeah, Luke doesn't kill her by himself. That is true. Yeah. What are those books called? Somebody help me out. Hang on. Let's just look it up. Abeloth Legends books. Fate of the Jedi? Is it called Fate of the Jedi? Why did I think it was the Empire or something? It's called Fate of the Jedi. Damn, I was way off. Fate of the Jedi. It's 9 books. I might have to actually re-listen to these. I listened to some of them on Audible. I might have to re-listen to some of these. Yes, there's 9 books. Apocalypse, Ascension, Conviction, Vortex, Allies, Backlash, Abyss, Omen, and Outcast. Was that 9 books? I don't even know. But there's 9 books. They're all legends. They all talk about the original trio, Luke, Leia, and Han. They set up Abeloth. They set up the Mortis gods. Actually, when these 9 books were being written, because they're fairly recently, I believe. Let's look it up. When were Star Wars Fate of the Jedi released. Yeah, so these books were released in 2009 or around that time. So that was the same time that Dave Filoni was creating the Mortis Gods story arc in the Clone Wars. So at the same time that Dave Filoni was creating the character of Abeloth, or the characters of the Mortis Gods, these different creatives that were writing these Legends novels about Abeloth and the Mortis Gods were writing about the same Mortis Gods that Dave Filoni was writing about, but they didn't even know that they were doing the same thing until they did, of course, one day, and they collaborated with each other to make a cohesive story. So technically, these Legends novels, there's 9 of them, are very close to canon because Dave Filoni worked with them to create the Mortis Gods and to create the character of Abeloth. So it's definitely possible that a lot of this Legends material from these 9 books will be brought into canon. But those books are called Star Wars, The Fate of the Jedi. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. All right, let's dive into the Mandalorian movie a little bit here. Let's talk about how this movie could most likely become a trilogy. Okay? Here's why. Personally, I think it will be a trilogy. I've been saying this literally since the Dave Filoni movie was announced that this would be a trilogy. My take is this. It should be a trilogy for one reason and one reason only. Star Wars should be trilogies. If you're going to make a Mando movie and you're going to make a Dave Filoni movie, which is also a Mando movie, you're not just going to have 2 spin-off Mando movies that are connected to each other massively, that will be a story told in two movies, when Star Wars is always 3 movies. So I see this being a no-brainer that there will be a 3rd movie. This will be a trilogy, but this is not just me speaking. This is coming from actual news, from leaks and rumors from actual people over at Lucasfilm. So let's read this article coming from Bespin. By the way, huge shout out to Bespin for getting this absolutely wrong. They actually talked about it in this article, but Bespin, when we were talking about The Mandalorian Season 4 being turned into a movie, I was completely convinced that it would be a movie. Over the summer, we were completely convinced that it would be a movie, and Bespin Bulletin was saying no. This will not be a movie. Season 4 will remain a 4th season. Everybody's getting this wrong. And it was so funny to watch Lucasfilm just spit in their face and laugh. Much love, Bespin. Okay, Jon Favreau, The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and Dave Filoni's crossover event movie rumored to be a part of a trilogy. Here we go. According to a very reliable Star Wars insider, The Mandalorian and Grogu movie and Dave Filoni's untitled Mandoverse crossover event film are part of a planned trilogy. No, that's whatever. Yesterday was a big news day for Star Wars fans, as Lucasfilm officially announced a new Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which, again, Bespin, you said wasn't going to happen, which would see our heroes from the Mandalorian TV show, Din Djarin and Grogu, venture onto the big screen. The film is set to be directed by The Mandalorian creator, Jon Favreau, and production is slated to begin later this year. No additional details were shared regarding The Mandalorian and Grogu, not even if it was retooling of the planned and previous announced 4th season of The Mandalorian, which was originally planned to begin filming in late September of 2023 but got delayed into this year due to the writers and actors' strikes. Deadline, in their coverage of this movie announcement, claimed that the 4th season of The Mandalorian is also being developed in addition to The Mandalorian and Grogu. No other outlets have shared this tidbit. My belief is that the film is retooling the original plan for the 4th season. I agree with this. I think season 4 is done, gone. It's just going to be the movie. News of The Mandalorian and Grogu shocked many fans, but rumors of the 4th season morphing into the feature film started in the summer of 2023. Making StarWars.net in July were first to share that Disney and Lucasfilm were considering turning the 4th season of The Mandalorian into a movie. And it was an option being considered by the studios, but was dependent on how greatly impacted the production of the 4th season would be due to the of course, aforementioned writers and actors strikes. So there was strikes going on for about 6 months or something like that, 5 months in Hollywood, and of course that affected the production of The Mandalorian's 4th season, and that could possibly be why it got turned into a movie, but also I think it's just a no-brainer to turn this into a movie, give us a Mandoverse trilogy, and please a lot of fans. However, with that being said, I have heard a few people online saying they don't want this movie. They would have rather have gotten 8 episodes of a Mando show. They're claiming it's less content and it's a bad look. I disagree, but tell me what you think. In December, Jeff Snyder shared via his podcast, the Hot Mic Podcast, that he had heard The Mandalorian's 4th season is being turned into a film and that it would be the next Star Wars movie to be released into theaters. The next Star Wars movie is due to release on May 22nd of 2026. The person that first broke The Mandalorian Season 4 becoming a movie, Making Star Wars, shared an interesting news detail during his YouTube show yesterday. Making Star Wars revealed that the source that first told him about The Mandalorian Season 4 becoming a movie has now informed him that this film is a part of a trilogy. The Mandalorian trilogy would consist of The Mandalorian and Grogu, being directed by Jon Favreau, the Dave Filoni directed Mandoverse crossover event film that was announced in April of 2023 at Star Wars Celebration, and an unknown third movie, most likely going to be directed by Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni, or maybe a combination of the both of them. This seems like a no-brainer. Star Wars has always been built of trilogies. This is a perfect time to have a trilogy. It could not only give fans what they wanted with an original sequel trilogy, with an Heir to the Empire, with Thrawn, with Luke, with Leia, with Han, and it could also give us a ton of other stuff. However, this third movie has not been confirmed. I think it will at Star Wars Celebration 2025. I think they will confirm that this is going to be the start of a trilogy, this Mandoverse movie. But let me ask you guys. First of all, what are they going to call these movies? It's not going to be like Episode 1, The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's not going to be Episode 6.25, The Mandalorian and Grogu. What are they going to call these movies? If it is a trilogy and they're going to market it as a trilogy, they can't call it The Mandalorian and Grogu a Star Wars story, because that would make it seem like it's a spin-off, one-off thing. They have to actually have it like it's a trilogy. But what are the numbers going to be? They've dug themselves in a hole with the sequel trilogy. They could just say it's episode 7 and then push the sequel trilogy to episode 10, 11, 12, but I don't see them doing that. What are they going to do? What do they do? If this is going to be a trilogy, how do you signify that this is going to be a trilogy? What do you call it? It's a pretty weird hole they've dug themselves into. And honestly, I don't know what they're going to do. This is what Making Star Wars said. My original source, who first told me that Season 4 was being a movie, has told me that this is going to be a trilogy, said Jason Ward over at Making Star Wars. Making Star Wars went on to add his own sense of the situation, which is that his speculation that the third part of the possible trilogy would only become a reality if The Mandalorian and Grogu was successful in the box office, meaning it can't be bringing in numbers similar to Solo, a Star Wars movie, a Star Wars story, and Indiana Jones 5. If The Mandalorian and Grogu wasn't a success, Lucasfilm and Disney would avoid a third entry and merely just release the already planned and announced untitled Mandoverse crossover event film that is set to be directed by Dave Filoni. That's not good. I'm going to add a caveat, which is just my sense on this. It's that the trilogy, if the first one connects, it will be a trilogy if the first one connects. If the first one, The Mandalorian and Grogu, is a big film, they'll make 2 more. If the first one doesn't make Indiana Jones 5 money, or if it makes Indiana Jones 5 money, then they will just do the 2 that were already announced and wash their hands of it, is what they're saying. So obviously, usually, if there's a bomb like Solo, they stopped doing those spin-off movies. If The Mandalorian and Grogu is a box office bomb, which I can't imagine it will be, then the third movie of this trilogy probably won't happen and they'll just go with what they've already planned. I don't agree with this. I think it will be announced as a trilogy, and I think it will continue to be a trilogy. And I think The Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be a massive success. Look at The Mandalorian itself on Disney Plus is a massive success. That's going to transfer over to the first Star Wars movie in 7 years on the big screen to a massive success in the box office. I don't see this movie making less than $1 billion. I could see it making over $2 billion if it's that good. I think there's a lot to look forward to with this movie. I guess we have quite a while to wait until we find out if a third entry into the possible trilogy happens, as The Mandalorian and Grogu will likely won't release into theaters for just over another 2 years. Either way, it's certainly exciting update that a feature film on the feature film front. Thank you for reading, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, first of all, what are they going to do? How are they going to name this trilogy if it is going to be a trilogy? Is it the prequel sequels? Is it the pre-sequel, prequel sequels? Or are they just going to call it Heir to the Empire? Or are they just going to call it Episode 6.25, Episode 6.5, Episode 6.75? And do you want it to be a trilogy? Let's put it that way. Let's end this last poll and let's start up a new one. First of all, 79% of you guys, I believe. 78% of you guys are excited for season 2. That's actually disappointing. 21% aren't. That's more disappointing than I thought. Do you want a Mandoverse trilogy? Yes or no? You tell me. You tell me. All right, let's see. Where were we? Fearless says, it could very well become a trilogy because of Thrawn. The books were also a trilogy. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. The Heir to the Empire trilogy was a trilogy. Star Wars is made up of trilogies. You've already announced 2 movies in the same time period. Make it a trilogy. It's a no-brainer. John says, it's not an official trilogy. It's like Infinity War, Endgame, etc. Well, it's a little bit different than that. Infinity War and Endgame was almost like a end cap to 10 years of Marvel content. Marvel didn't go the route of trilogies. Even with their side characters, like Captain America's getting a 4th movie, Thor already got a 4th movie. So they didn't do the trilogy format. And Star Wars is made up of the trilogy format. Even with the shows now. Mando had 3 seasons. It's a trilogy. Fearless says, heir to the Mandalore, and the heir being Grogu, of course. Possibly. Might as well, at this point, they've already been introduced. What? Oh, I missed this chat. Keto says, let's just hope Jack Black and Lizzo don't return in the Mando movie. I seriously doubt they will. But they did set up that planet for a reason. And they did say that they would help out the Mandalorians whenever they need it. That's definitely possible. I hope Star Wars Eclipse comes out in 2026, the same year the movies are returning. Wow. What a year 2026 could be for Star Wars. 2 Star Wars movies, a possible mega Star Wars game with Star Wars Eclipse. That would be something. And probably shows that we haven't yet been announced. Jason says, I really hope they bring Ahsoka into the first Mando movie. I don't think she'll be in the first one. I think she probably will be in the second one. Again, it all depends on how Ahsoka Season 2 ends. Do you guys think that Ahsoka and Hugh Wang and Sabine are going to make it back to the original galaxy by the end of Ahsoka Season 2? Because right now it doesn't seem like that's their goal. Ahsoka said that this is where they're supposed to be, on Peridia, at the end of Season 1. So do you guys think that they're going to try to get home in Season 2? What I think is going to happen is the first movie, the Mando movie, is going to be a failure for the heroes. They're going to lose. And they're going to need help. And that help is going to be Luke Skywalker. It's going to be Ahsoka Tano. So they're going to have to go get them. And going to the other galaxy to save them is going to be a mission that they have to do. So I think that could be the case after the first Mando movie, is Ahsoka comes into the second Mando movie. I just don't think that she's in any rush to get home. So I don't think she's going to get home in Ahsoka Season 2. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. John says, I love Star Wars so much that it actually is insane, and I don't think I'm alone. Yeah, I don't think you're alone. I mean, we're sitting here talking about Star Wars for another 2 hours, and I'm having a blast. I also can't wait for the KOTOR remake. Me either. There's still no real news on that. The studio that's creating it is in disarray, so I wouldn't be hoping for that anytime soon, but it's probably still in the works. Keto says, who will be called the main character throughout the trilogy? For every other trilogy, you have a main character. Anakin, Luke, then Rey. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Din Djarin. Maybe it's Din and Grogu. That's possible. Maybe it's Ahsoka, but I doubt it because she's probably not going to be involved too much in the first movie. I think it's probably going to be Din and Grogu. I think they're going to continue the characters on the big screen, and I think they will be the main characters. Think about it. Din Djarin and Grogu, just being the apprentice to Din Djarin, are directly connected to almost everybody. Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Cobb Vanth, Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano. Like, they connect all different worlds at the same time. So they're kind of the focal point of this era. They connect everything. So it would make the most sense that Din Djarin and Grogu would be the leads of this trilogy. Of course, especially because you're calling it The Mandalorian and Grogu, or the Mandoverse trilogy, or whatever you're going to call it, it makes the most sense to have them be your main characters. Fearless says, Mando never had anything to do with Thrawn until now. Maybe that will be a topic of Ahsoka Season 2. Could it be? Well, for sure it could be. I think Thrawn is going to immediately establish himself as a new threat. But you're completely right. Mando has no experience with Thrawn. And it'll be very interesting to see how they set that up. Because Moff Gideon had a backstory with Din Djarin. I mean, not really, but he did. I mean, he had 3 seasons of a backstory, pretty much. So, in the first season, he comes out in the finale and goes, Din Djarin, and tells us his name. And Din Djarin's like, who the hell is this guy? But Din Djarin establishes a backstory with Moff Gideon after the first season, where Moff Gideon says, you have something I want. And then in the second season, Mando says, you have something I want, back to him, like, ooh. Like, and then, of course, Moff Gideon comes to an end in the third season. So they have to set up Thrawn to have a conflict with Din Djarin. How they do that, I'm not too sure yet, but there has to be something that makes Din Djarin want to fight against Thrawn. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Jason says, yeah, I like the idea that you have of the heroes losing. It's a really cool idea. Yeah, think about the best Star Wars movies. A lot of you said the best Star Wars movies were Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back. Some of you said Return of the Jedi. Some of you said A New Hope, whatever. But the top 2 on my list, at least, and I think the top 2 on a lot of people's lists, are Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back. Those 2 movies, what do they have in common? The good guys lose. Luke Skywalker gets his hand chopped off, finds out that Vader's his dad, and they lose. They lose Han into carbonite, and they just lose. They absolutely lose the episode. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Order 66 happens. The mighty Republic and Jedi Order fall badly to the bad guys. So I think the best 2 Star Wars films have the bad guys winning. And honestly, that's not the only reason that they're the best 2 films, but it does help. You always go in with the notion of the good guys can always come back and win this. They're going to probably end up on top at the end of this movie. That's what makes movies like Rocky 1 so good. Rocky 1 is the first of the frickin' franchise, and the main hero or character loses. The main fight, what it's all been leading up to in that movie, he loses. And that's why that movie's so damn good. So it's not always like, it's not always edged in stone that the good guys are going to win. And that's what excites me about this Mandoverse trilogy, because Thrawn could do some damage, especially on Coruscant, especially to Din Djarin, because characters like Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, Grogu even, Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger, Hera Syndulla, Sabine Wren, all the Rebels cast, all the Mando cast don't exist in the sequel trilogy. Meaning all of them could die to Thrawn. At any point, they could die. Now, of course, their death would have to be significant. It would have to play a part in the story, but they could die at any moment because they don't exist in anything further down the line. There's nothing holding these characters alive except for Luke, Leia, and Han. Every other character is up for grabs. Every other character could die in this Mandoverse trilogy or to Thrawn in this Mandoverse time period. That's what's very exciting. There's no guarantees that any of these characters will survive. That's what's exciting. It's the same thing with the Bad Batch. This third season could end with all of them getting their heads cut off by Darth Vader. And it could be so damn cool. The mystery is what leads us to get excited. Keto says, every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I'm wishing for a good ending where Anakin doesn't turn. Yeah, exactly. And it just never happens. By the way, do you guys want a Mandoverse trilogy? 100% of you guys say yes. That is definitely something. It's rare you see the 100 number ever around here. Oh, by the way, guys, the Mando movie, a Mando trilogy.
This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. All right, let's go to our next bit of news here today, because this is kind of a little bit strange. So you guys remember about, I like the 100s, by the way, guys. I appreciate that. Do you guys remember about a few years ago, or maybe it wasn't even a few years ago, maybe it was like a year ago or so, the writers of Game of Thrones, yeah, it must have been a few years ago. A few years ago, the writers of Game of Thrones were supposed to get a Star Wars movie. Dan and Dave, do you guys remember this? Dan and Dave were supposed to get a Star Wars movie. Then, season 8 of Game of Thrones went so poorly, really went bad with the fandom, and Star Wars, Lucasfilm, said, no, we're probably not going to go with you guys because the fans seem to hate you. It's the same thing that's going on with Taika Waititi right now. It's the same thing that happened with Patty Jenkins in Wonder Woman 2. It's the same thing that happened with, it could be happening with James Mangold. However, it doesn't seem to be happening because he's still on title for this Dawn of the Jedi movie. But it's the same thing that we've seen happen with Lucasfilm over and over again, where a director who is a very well-known director, who's very good at their job, created incredible movies like Patty Jenkins, like Taika Waititi. They have one bad mishap with Thor Love and Thunder or Wonder Woman 2 or season 8 of Game of Thrones, and they turn away. They say, no, you're no longer going to do a Star Wars project. Do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember the Dan and Dave Star Wars movie? Because now some new news is coming up about this project that they were working on. It was supposed to be about the first Jedi, the Force, the figuring out the Force, very similar to the Dawn of the Jedi movie that we're going to be getting from James Mangold. So it's possible that this has been in the works for a long time with different creatives. But let's talk about this. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter. Let me zoom in a little bit first. Okay. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter. Dave Benioff and Dan Wes reveal their shelved Star Wars idea, The First Jedi. This was before The Last Jedi was even announced. The First Jedi. The Game of Thrones creators discussed their Star Wars movie idea for the first time. So this is the first time they've even talked about their Star Wars idea that they were working on since they got canned because of Game of Thrones' ending. Did any of you guys watch Game of Thrones? Give me a 1 into the chat if you've watched Game of Thrones, and tell me what you thought of that ending. Because I actually have a different opinion on the ending. I didn't like it, but I have a different opinion because I didn't. There's a difference. I didn't watch it every Sunday night. I wasn't staying up watching it every Sunday night. I binge watched it all in like a few weeks, eight seasons in a few weeks after it all was released. So I have a difference of opinion. Knights of Melvin, what's up? Knights of Melvin says Ahsoka season 2, another flop. Well, I seriously doubt it, Melvin. As Ahsoka season 1 was incredible, I think Ahsoka season 2 is just going to be just that. Melvin, I got a question for you. Is there no Disney Star Wars that you like? Like, what about Rogue One? You don't like Rogue One? Mando season 2? No? Nothing? Not a single thing. Let me know. So, What was David and Dan's shelved Star Wars movie about? The Game of Thrones creator. Let me zoom in a little bit on this. We're still too far away. That's better. The Game of Thrones creators opened up about their efforts to make a Star Wars movie in this week's The Hollywood Reporter cover story about their upcoming Netflix sci-fi epic Three Body Problem, okay, which they created along with True Blood writer-producer Alexander Wu. The producers also discussed the backlash to Game of Thrones' final season, their short-lived Confederate idea, their three-body producers' bizarre Breaking Bad-inspired murder, and the many challenges that came from making their huge, ambitious new show. On the Star Wars front, the duo confirmed media's reports from 2019 that they were looking at the early days of the Jedi, but added some details. We wanted to do The First Jedi. That would be the name of it, The First Jedi. What the hell? Why is this? I just want to highlight. Why? What are you doing? The First Jedi. Better. Okay. Benioff said basically how the Jedi Order came to be, why it came to be, and of course the first lightsaber. We were annoyed as hell when Rian Johnson called his movie The Last Jedi. He completely destroyed the obvious title for what we were working on. So they were working on The First Jedi, and of course Rian Johnson created The Last Jedi. Knights of Melvin says, I enjoy all the George Lucas movies available on Disney+. Well, okay. But what about Disney created projects? None of it? No, oh wait, he did say something in the chat. Hang on. I gotta see what Melvin said. Melvin said, oh, no he didn't. Rogue One is alright, but the ending with Vader ruined everything? But what? The ending with Vader is the best part of the freaking movie. What are you talking about? What about the Vader hallway scene did you not like? And what about, like, Mando? You didn't like Mando? Alright, let's get back to this article. Oops. Okay. Asked what went wrong, Benioff said, Lucasfilm ended up not wanting to do The First Jedi story. We had a specific story idea in mind, and ultimately they decided they didn't want to do that. And we totally get it. It's their company and their IP, but we weren't the droids they were looking for. The duo were far from the only ones that had their Star Wars movie taken away from them. Lucasfilm also decided against making Star Wars projects from top creatives like Kevin Feige, Patty Jenkins, and Damon Lindelof. Yet, Benioff and Wes, or whatever the hell his name is, overall concept still might happen. Last year, Lucasfilm announced a movie titled Dawn of the Jedi from Indiana Jones 5's director James Mangold. So you can read that article there. So yeah, it seems like the story that Dan and Dave created with this First Jedi is still going to happen with the Dawn of the Jedi story told by James Mangold. Now, what do we think about this? Because if you guys have seen Game of Thrones, you know that these guys are pretty good at their jobs. Now, of course, what happened with the 8th season of that show was disappointing. It was not nearly as good as we hoped it would be, but they're still very good at their jobs, and they wanted to really make this First Jedi story. Now, we are still going to get that Jedi story, I think, in some sort of way with James Mangold, and James Mangold, I think, is definitely a better director, writer, whatever you want to call him, than Dave and Dan. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I do have another article about this coming from Bespin Bulletin in a second, but Knights of Melvin says it's inconsistent with how Vader was portrayed in Episode 4. Yes and no. Of course, he moves a lot swifter than Episode 4 he does, but Episode 4 is only because it's in 1977. I get what you mean. It's not like a cohesive story. I get that. But what about the Mandalorian, Knights of Melvin? You didn't say anything about the Mandalorian. All right, where were we? I couldn't get into it. Same with House of Dragon. I haven't watched The House of the Dragon yet, but I watched all of Game of Thrones like in a few weeks. Like I got hooked hard. I think last year or 2 years ago. Geeks Ledger, what's up, Geeks Ledger? Glad you can make it. Says, in Star Wars adjacent news, D23 is being streamed live on Disney Plus in August for all 3 days of the event. Star Wars will have announcements and panels at the event. Yes, that's awesome. I did see that, and I completely forgot to say that, so thanks. But yeah, D23 is in August this year. It's going to have a ton of announcements, and they know it, and that's why they're streaming it live on Disney Plus. Very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Keto says, Melvin's favorite Disney project was Star Wars Resistance. Fearless says, I guess there's another Star Wars channel perfectly fit for you, Melvin. Here we don't hate on everything Disney does. Well, Melvin has his own channel. This is Melvin's whole thing. We get it. We love Melvin around here. We appreciate him. We just want to know if he likes The Mandalorian. He's awfully quiet about it. I think he loves it. I think he loves The Mandalorian. I think that's what he's trying to tell us. I think that's what's going on here. All right, let's get into this Bespin Bulletin article about this Game of Thrones Such First Jedi Order stuff. So these are the two handsome fellows right there. Back in February of 2018, guess what? 2018 was 6 years. Oh, you guys can't see that. 6 years ago. 6. Crazy. Okay. Back in February of 2018, it was announced by Lucasfilm that the duo held behind HBO's Game of Thrones, David and Dan, were set to helm a series of Star Wars movies. A series of Star Wars movies, probably a trilogy. However, just a couple of short years later, the duo exited development on the project. Little was revealed about the duo's Star Wars films that were going to center on, but now the two have revealed that and why they exited the project. So this is why they exited the project as well. But let's actually take a second here. We talked about how this Mandoverse is probably going to be a trilogy. I also talked about how this Dawn of the Jedi is probably going to be the start of a new trilogy as well, all the way back at the Dawn of the Jedi. We're not just going to get a one-off movie explaining the beginning of the Jedi. It's going to be a whole story to tell, and it'll have to be at least multiple movies. So I think maybe this series of movies, probably a trilogy that these two are creating, is still happening. They were going to do a series of movies on the first Jedi, and that's probably what James Mangold is doing as well. In February of 2018, Dan and Dave were announced to be helming a series of Star Wars films from Lucasfilm, and those films were planned to be the next theatrical Star Wars releases following 2019's Rise of Skywalker. My God, haven't there been a ton of different theatrical releases for the one after Rise of Skywalker? Patty Jenkins' movie, Taika Waititi's movie, Sean Levy's movie, these guys' movie. There's been a ton. The Rey movie, which now isn't going to be the first one, there's been a ton of the first movie after the Rise of Skywalker that just haven't panned out that way. Yeah. The first film was planned to release for 2022, which was 2 years ago. During that time, during the time of the announcement, the duo were showrunning the biggest TV show in the world, Game of Thrones, which had skyrocketed in popularity, reaching mass critical acclaim. And the duo were geared up for the release of the incredibly and wildly anticipated 8th and final season of that series, which bowed in 2019. So 2019 is when that show ended and all hell broke loose. Most Star Wars fans were elated by the news at the time, believing that the duo were the right guys to map out the series of Star Wars films given their success with Game of Thrones. A lot of fans want a lot of Game of Thrones-esque Star Wars shows or Star Wars movies, and these guys were the guys who created Game of Thrones. Not really. They didn't write the story, but they made it onto the big screen, so they would be able to make a Game of Thrones-esque story in Star Wars. Some fans soured on the idea that the duo helming these films once the 8th season of Game of Thrones was released just a few months later. Dan and Dave were no longer working on the Star Wars films, of course, because of that. Some fans believed that the duo were let go due to the reaction of the final season of Game of Thrones, though this was never reported and just seems to be an idea conjured up by some parts of the fandom. And others believe that they left because after taking a lucrative $250 million deal with Netflix in that summer before their departure. Well, obviously that deal probably had something to do with it. However, the failure of season 8 of Game of Thrones had a lot to do with that. Let's not lie to ourselves here. According to the duo, their exiting of the film as Lucasfilm no longer wanted them to tell the story that they wanted to. In the story they'd been working on for a number of years, the duo told Hollywood Reporter. So this is what we just read 2 seconds ago, but we had a specific story idea in mind, and ultimately they had decided that they didn't want to do that, and we totally get that. It's their IP, it's not ours, and we are not the droids that they were looking for. The duo told Deadline in October of 2019 that they were stepping away as there wasn't enough hours in the day to keep working on their Star Wars film and develop projects for Netflix. So they regrettably walked away from Star Wars. The Hollywood Reporter shared that the duo were having second thoughts about continuing their Star Wars efforts due to the toxic fandom, which sounds like just stupid. Something the duo were likely hyper aware of due to the backlash of the they received after the Game of Thrones season 8. Well, yes, they received a lot of backlash because that season was a pile of horse crap, but the toxic fandom over at Star Wars definitely never sleeps as well. And saw how their friend Rian Johnson was treated by the Star Wars fans after releasing Last Jedi. So a lot of this was they saw how The Last Jedi performed. They saw how their 8th season of Game of Thrones performed, and they were like, nah, this is not for us, I don't think. The Hollywood Reporter article from 2019 mentioned that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy was very unhappy with the duo's inking the Netflix deal, just as they were supposed to start working on their first Star Wars film. Kathleen Kennedy was reportedly not convinced that the duo could handle more than one project at a time, splitting their time between Star Wars and Netflix, as the duo refused to work on their Star Wars film during the production and release of their final season of Game of Thrones. Despite past reports and even a statement from the duo in 2019, they're currently now saying that they exited the project as Lucasfilm did not want to produce their idea. So what was the idea? The duo have revealed that their Star Wars film would have focused on the first ever Jedi and how the Jedi Order came to be. Sound familiar? We wanted to do the first Jedi. Basically, how the Jedi Order came to be and why it came to be, and the first lightsabers. Sound familiar? I just said that. It should, because James Mangold of Indiana Jones 5 was just announced in April at Star Wars Celebration to be writing and directing a Dawn of the Jedi movie, which will follow the first ever Jedi. In addition, David S. Goyer revealed that Lucasfilm asked him a few years ago to develop a scriptment for a film that focused on the origins of the Jedi. It seems as if Lucasfilm has wanted, or at least toyed with, the idea of producing a Jedi origin movie for a many number of years, and chances are we'll see some incarnation of this, whether it's in Mangold's movie or a Disney Plus series or another filmmaker's hops on the director's chair. So in any sort of way, we will eventually at some point receive this Dawn of the Jedi movie and the origins of the Jedi and the Force itself. Now, what's interesting is that Lucasfilm has been trying to make this for years. Years. From Dan and Dave to other writers and directors, to even at one point we believed that Taika Waititi was going to be making a Dawn of the Jedi movie, to now James Mangold officially gets confirmed that he is making a Dawn of the Jedi movie. So they've been trying to go back to the origins of the Force, of the Jedi, for a long, long time. They just haven't been able to get the right scripts or writers or directors or anything. But they have been trying to create this story, which is a incredible thing. Because if they're going back to the beginning of the Jedi, that means they'll go back to the Old Republic as well. And many Star Wars fans want to see that. Big time want to see that. Like, more than anything. Old Republic is where it's at. So, I think this is great news. Obviously, not great news that the two of them got fired, but it's great news that they were working on a first Jedi movie, and now that movie is still sort of in production in some way with the Dawn of the Jedi movie with James Mangold, because that movie, when it was announced at Star Wars Celebration, was like the most hyped thing ever. It's cool to get a Mando movie. It's cool to get a post-sequel movie. It's cool to get all those announcements, but when it comes to the beginning of the Jedi, the first ever Force users, that's exciting. But let's see what you guys have to say about that. Well, let's see what Melvin has to say about The Mandalorian first. The Mandalorian Season 1 was all right, before it turned into a weekly cameo show of Rebels' continuation in Season 2. Interesting. The Din Djarin character may be the most unoriginal character Disney created. He's just a ripoff of Jango and Boba. Well, he's definitely taken from those characters. Jon Favreau is speaking very publicly about how he created the character of Din Djarin based off of those characters you mentioned before. And of course, he does wear Mandalorian armor, so yes, you are not incorrect with that. But I disagree with the whole Mando Season 2 thing. Turned into a weekly cameo fest of Rebels continuation. I disagree. I think those characters, of course, were eventually going to come to live action anyway. They have to exist somewhere in the Star Wars galaxy. They didn't die. But it wasn't like cameos thrown in your face for no reason. It was a story that involved those cameos for a certain purpose. It actually allowed the story to continue. The story of Season 2 is Din Djarin trying to get Grogu back to his original people, the Jedi. And that's how he does it. He goes to Ahsoka, or he goes to Bo-Katan first. Goes to Bo-Katan, who knows where Ahsoka is. Ahsoka tells him to go to Tython, where you get the Seeing Stone, and then you get Luke Skywalker come in the end. Yeah. Fearless says, Ahsoka is more like Rebels continuation, in my opinion. Yeah, Ahsoka is definitely like Rebels Season 5, for sure. It has all the Rebels characters involved. But it's, again, another story that needed to be told. It is where Thrawn and Ezra went. It's Thrawn becoming the heir to the Empire. Yeah. What's up, Catherine? How we doing? Catherine says, I love the last season of Game of Thrones. Ooh, interesting. Team Stark had 3 thrones? That's true, actually. Team Stark had 3 thrones. That's cool. I didn't even think of that. You loved the last season of Game of Thrones? I actually liked it more than most, again, as I seem to do most times. But again, I think it was because I binge-watched the whole 8 seasons in like 2021 or 2022, and everybody else was waiting every Sunday to watch this show and was disappointed with the outcome. Din Djarin is an awesome character. I agree with that. Knights of Melvin says, Din Djarin was described as a mysterious character who, when first introduced, just like Boba, and his backstory is very similar to Jango. Yeah, very similar to Jango, for sure. 100%. I mean, you look at Jango's character, he gets taken as a kid, as a foundling, from the Mandalorians, as his parents died. That's almost the exact same as Din Djarin. But they're two obviously separate characters in their own rights. One becomes a clone of a million different clones of himself in an army for the Republic, and one becomes a dad of a baby Grogu. Fearless says, I think that DOTJ? Oh, Dawn of the Jedi. I think that the Dawn of the Jedi movie has to be done with the Rey movie. Possibly with Ahsoka show and Filoni possibly overall story in mind, so that they were all connected. Yeah, I think the Dawn of the Jedi is going to be involved with the character of like Hu Yang, because he knows all the stories from the Dawn of the Jedi. It was told to us in Ahsoka that he was created 25,000 years ago, or he has all the information from 25,000 years ago, or something like that. I forget. But he should be connected to that movie. Of course, the sacred texts that are going to be heavily involved in the Rey movie, and probably some ancient Jedi temples like Tython and Ahch-To, should be involved in that Dawn of the Jedi movie, for sure. And that'll be cool. That'll be very cool. Yeah. Well, it's all interconnected anyway. Well, yeah, it's always all interconnected, but hopefully it's connected more than we think. Geeks Ledger says, if Mando and Grogu does go into production and potentially films near the end of this year or next, how will Pedro find time to be in it between The Last of Us Season 2 and Season 3? Potentially Fantastic Four, etc. Yeah, that's a great question. So Pedro Pascal is a busy man, a real busy man. He's filming Gladiator 2, I think, right now, or it's starting to film soon. And then Last of Us Season 2 is about to start filming shortly after that. So I think this Mando movie will probably start filming mid to late year of this year. And he'll have to kind of just split his time, or by the end of the year, hopefully he's done filming those other two projects and he can solely focus on Star Wars. They can definitely film a lot of stuff without him, with it's just the mask and the stunt doubles under the mask, like they did with Mando Season 3 and Season 2, actually. But yeah, they could definitely do that. And the Book of Boba Fett, they did that for, too. So yeah, we could definitely see a lot of that, for sure, where he's only involved in certain scenes. If we don't see his face in the movie, he really only has to come in and do voice work, which shouldn't take too long, but obviously he has to find time to do that. Keto says, only similarity between Din and Boba/Jango is that he's a Mandalorian bounty hunter. Character-wise, they're completely different. Well, no, to Melvin's point, actually, Jango and Din have very similar backstories to how they become Mandalorians. But after that, yes, they have very different outcomes to their stories. Knights of Melvin says, no way you guys actually enjoyed Ahsoka. The show proves Dave can't direct. I actually completely disagree. I think Ahsoka is probably the best directed thing we've got, other than maybe Dave's other episodes in Mando. But the Dave Filoni directed episodes, episode 1, episode 5, are some of the best directed episodes we've got from Star Wars live action. I mean, maybe other than Andor, but Andor's just very well directed. The story-wise, it's not really there. But I completely disagree. I think Ahsoka only did one thing and one thing really well and proved to us that Dave Filoni can direct a movie, can direct more stuff. Everything from Ahsoka's first live-action appearance in Mando Season 2, Dave's Mando episode in The Book of Boba Fett, and Dave's episodes in Ahsoka just proved to us that he is a great director and could give us some incredible stuff in the future. Fearless says, I love Ahsoka. How can you not? I even love Kenobi. Love Kenobi is an overstatement. I do really like Kenobi. I think just the filler stuff and the some of the stuff there, Reva and yeah. But the finale is really, really good. Yeah. Melvin says, you lost me at I love Kenobi. Geeks Ledger says, question. Is it true that Huge Wang showed up at Coruscant's Jedi Temple in the big blue wooden box? I remember that for some reason. That's got to be a Doctor Who reference, because Dave Tennant. He showed up to Coruscant's Jedi Temple in a big blue wooden box? What? Where are you seeing this? I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you are referring to. But I do know what you mean, because he is Doctor Who. Dave Tennant. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get to our last bit of news for today's stream. Completely off topic, but we're going to the Rey movie. Don't leave. Please don't leave. It is actually some good news regarding the Rey movie for once. We're not talking about bad news when it comes to the Rey movie. Knights of Melvin says, I must leave. I'm getting too chilly in. It's getting too chilly in here. Much love, Melvin. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, we know you love Star Wars. We know you love The Mandalorian. We know you love Rogue One. We know you secretly loved Ahsoka. Much love. John says, could Thrawn team up with Max Rebo? That would be the team up of the century. That would be the team up of the century. The Blue Man Group. Who's the third Blue Man that they could team up with to create the Blue Man Group? Max Rebo, Thrawn, and Knights of Ledger said, I remember someone saying in their reaction that he was gifted to the Jedi Temple in by an unknown benefactor, and he had arrived in a blue wooden box. Interesting. I've not heard that, but that sounds pretty damn cool. Knights of Melvin says, hashtag real Star Wars. Nice. All right. Let's get into this news. about Stephen Knight. Finally, we're talking about a great writer when it comes to the Rey movie. Something good. Stephen Knight reportedly yet to complete a draft for the Daisy Ridley-led Rey Palpatine Star Wars movie. So, for those people who are talking about the leaks going around online, that's why I haven't made a video about those leaks, because I don't think they're true at all. But this is why I don't think they're true even more. This article came out yesterday, and Stephen Knight is reportedly not even completed the script yet. Stephen Knight, the writer who took over for Damon Lindelof earlier this year, or last year I should say, on the untitled Rey Palpatine film, has reportedly yet to turn in a draft according to a reliable insider. After 2 years of development in various drafts, Damon Lindelof and Justin Gibson exited the untitled Rey movie in March of 2023, and Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight came aboard the project and took over writing duties. The Rey Palpatine film was formally announced a month later at Star Wars Celebration, when the film's lead, Daisy Ridley, took the stage alongside of the director, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. Though Lucasfilm have even confirmed that Ridley-led flick was the next Star Wars movie to release into theaters, it was widely reported and believed that this was the case, and that the movie would be released on May 22nd of 2026. A release date announced last year for an untitled Star Wars film. Just in November, Daisy Ridley shared that her belief that she believed that the next Star Wars film to be theatrical release was the one that she was leading. However, a spanner was thrown into the works yesterday as Lucasfilm announced The Mandalorian and Grogu, a feature film directed by Jon Favreau, the creator of The Mandalorian, that is set to go into production later this year, will be leading Lucasfilm's Star Wars theatrical slate, which includes the untitled Rey Palpatine effort. So the Mando movie will come first. In April of last year, Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm's president, revealed that Stephen Knight was due to submit the draft for the Rey film by mid-May. And just a few weeks later, the industry grinded to a halt as the writers went on strike. It began on May 2nd, and it continued until September 27th. So the entire summer and most of spring were turned into a strike, and Stephen Knight couldn't write. During this time, Knight was not permitted to continue working on this Star Wars film until the strikes were resolved. This meant the hopes of Lucasfilm had at the time had gone out the window, and naturally everybody assumed that once the strikes concluded, Knight would be hard at work on his draft once again. Many fans speculated that because the strikes began 2 weeks before Knight's draft had to be turned in, the writer only had 2 weeks left to work on his first draft, though that was never reported to be the case. The holidays came and went, and no update about this film's status or the status of Knight's draft had been draft from the trades or reliable insiders or journalists. However, during this time, Knight had spoken about putting in the hours and attempting to finish the script for his Peaky Blinders movie during the end of last year, which will film in this summer and release next year. It seems Knight is more recent efforts have been dedicated to Peaky Blinders movie, the work he is best known for, and with The Mandalorian and Grogu seemingly taking the spot of May 2026 release window, Knight will likely have more time to finish the work for this Star Wars draft. So let's just pause for a second here. This means that Stephen Knight, again, another writer, is taking off one Star Wars project to work on something else. So Stephen Knight is no longer, or he's still working on it, I'm sure, in the background, but he's more focused on the Peaky Blinders movie, which is set to start filming this year, than working on the Rey movie draft. However, he was supposed to be about 2 weeks away from finishing that Rey movie draft before the strikes happened, so he might not be all that far off from finishing the script, but right now he's more focused on the Peaky Blinders movie. This brings us to now when reliable Star Wars insider making Star Wars Jason Ward, shared what he recently heard in regards to Stephen Knight working on the Rey Palpatine movie. Making Star Wars revealed that according to his sources, Stephen Knight has not yet to pen his Star Wars draft, likely because of the reasons mentioned earlier, and that Lucasfilm chose Knight for the job as he was who they could get following the departure of the film's original writer Damon Lindelof and Gibson. Making Star Wars stressed that he isn't saying that Stephen Knight is off the Rey project or not, but he doesn't know. But that things do not line up for this writer. So with all this controversy, with him writing the Peaky Blinders movie instead of the Rey movie, a lot of fans are wondering whether or not he's still even involved with the project. But Making Star Wars is confirming, he's stressing that he's still on the project. He's just not really writing it right now. This is what Making Star Wars said. Jason said, "Today I was told that Stephen Knight hasn't written his first draft. He hasn't gotten to get to it yet. His scheduling and the stars did not align. Stephen Knight was simply the guy that they picked up and who they could get at the moment following Damon Lindelof's exit, and it never lined up. I'm not saying that he's off it. I'm not saying that he's going to write it, and I'm not going to write it. I just don't know." So it's possible at this point in production of this Rey movie that they might not even have a writer. In November, Daisy Ridley shared that she had not yet read the script for the Star Wars movie, but that she did know what the story was. This reveal came to us when Ridley was on a press tour for her film The Marsh King's Daughter, and Ridley is currently on another press tour for the next season of Sometimes I Think About Dying. So hopefully she gets poised some Star Wars questions and can give us an update on the status of her movie. So right now, honestly, it's shaky on whether or not this movie has a writer. That's insane. So after a whole week last week of Charmin Obed-Chinoy being the talk of the town for negative reasons, now we're talking about the possibility that Stephen Knight isn't even writing this movie. And the only reason that they picked him up was because they lost Damon Lindelof and they needed a big name writer. And Stephen Knight was the guy. But he doesn't have time because he's working on a Peaky Blinders movie. So if he's going to be filming that movie this year, when's he going to have time to do this script? Because it's not only he has to finish the script, but he has to be on set to keep the script moving. Like, the writer of a script, the script changes on set. Changes drastically. From when he first writes it to the final draft that we see on the movie screen, that's a completely different thing. This is weird. This is really weird. The news when it comes to this Rey movie is always very strange, but this is just weird. They could only get Stephen Knight because he was a big name writer at the time after they lost Damon Lindelof, and now this guy might not even be writing the movie anymore. I'm not saying he's not. I think he still probably is, but the problem is he's filming a movie that he's writing and directing this year. When's he going to have time to do this Rey movie? I don't know. It seems like everything that happens with this Rey movie is bad news, and other projects are great news. Ahsoka Season 2, fantastic. Mando movie, fantastic. Possible Mando trilogy, amazing. But the Rey movie continues to give us bad news. But what do you guys think? What do we think? Is this the guy? Should he be taken off of it? What do we think? For a third blue guy, Cad Bane. Yes. Yes, Cad Bane, Thrawn, and Max Reba. There you go. The Blue Man Group. John Mitchell says, Star Wars fans are worse than Swifties. Yeah. 100%. Jason says, I really like this channel because your positive vibes here regarding Star Wars. Oh, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. This Rey movie sucked. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Fearless says, it's sad that we didn't get anything new on Andor Season 2. Well, we did get the fact that it's going to be postponed into 2025. That's really the only news we have about that. Yeah. Jason says, Stephen Knight couldn't write. It's like poetry. It rhymes. True. True. Fearless says, I think they have scheduling and deadlines for anything in production. Plus, scripts change a lot even during filming. I guess he doesn't have enough time to do it all. That's true, but that's a big problem. If the writer of your next, or not your next now, because the Mando movie, but if the writer of your next Star Wars film that's supposed to begin filming by the end of this year isn't working on the movie, that's problematic. That's problematic. 100%. John Mitchell says, top 5 Disney Star Wars shows. Only Disney? Okay. Let's do it real quick. Number 1 is Ahsoka. Number 2 is... Number 2 is Mando. Number 3 is Rebels. Number 2 is Rebels. Number 3 is Mando. Number 4 is Clone Wars Season 7. And number 5 is Book of Boba Fett. That's your 5. Top 5 Disney Star Wars movies. Well, there's only 5, right? So I just got to put them in order. Because you got the 3 of the sequel trilogy, and then Solo and Rogue One. So there's only 5. Let's see. Number 1 is Rogue One. Number 2 is The Force Awakens. Number 3 is Solo. Number 4 is The Rise of Skywalker, and then The Last Jedi. In that order. And what are my top 3 Star Wars games? Okay. All time. Interesting. I gotta go Jedi Survivor is number 1. I love that game so much. Story-wise, it's not as good as maybe like Knights of the Old Republic or even Force Unleashed. But just combat-wise and visually, and just the amount of fun I had with it on the channel and everything, nothing beat that experience. So it's got to be Jedi Survivor. Number 2, I would say it's probably either Knights of the Old Republic or Force Unleashed. We'll give them a tie for 2. And then number 3, I got to give to a Battlefront. I don't care. Battlefront 2, OG Battlefront 2, or new Battlefront 2. Either one, incredible games. Need more multiplayer Star Wars games, for sure. Yeah. Catherine says, does Stephen Knight have any love for Star Wars, or is it just a job? That's a good question, Catherine. I don't know. We really don't know. All we really know is that he's a great writer from his past experiences. He doesn't have any past experience with Star Wars, which again gives me a bad feeling. But I got a bad feeling about this on the Stream Deck. So if you guys weren't here earlier in the stream, I just got a Stream Deck. I just set it up, so we got a bunch of different things, buttons that do different things.
Hello there.
So different buttons do a bunch of different things. So I got a bad feeling about this on that. Somebody can remind me. I got to write that down somewhere. Yeah, so it gives me a bad feeling when any creative director, writer, whatever, comes on to Star Wars that doesn't know anything about Star Wars or doesn't even love Star Wars. So hopefully it's not just a job for him. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully he does have a love for Star Wars, but I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Fearless says, I wrote that he got a lot of time finishing the script. What? I'm confused. John Mitchell says, KOTOR, Jedi Survivor, and then The Force Unleashed. Yeah, those are some top games right there. Keto says, Battlefront 2 modded Kyber servers are a blast. I've actually never played that, but I have heard that they're really cool, the modded Battlefront 2 games, because you can play as like Ahsoka and other characters like that. That's really cool, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes? How is that possible? What time is it? Oh my God. That was crazy. I don't know how we did that, but we did get to all the articles that I wanted to, I think. Pedro Pascal is trending right now. Fantastic Four is trending? Wait, what happened? Ahsoka is still trending. What happened? Hang on. Why is it trending? Ahsoka is trending. Pedro Pascal is trending. Why are you trending, Pedro? Oh, for The Last of Us, I think. Last of Us. Yeah. Ahsoka's still trending, though. It's still trending hard because Ahsoka Season 2. Very, very cool. Interesting. Rumor, The Mandalorian Season 4 will be 6 episodes and likely come out before the movie. Source, Making Star Wars. How do I know if this is right? Let's go to Making Star Wars. See, I can't report on this because I don't know if it's true. I don't know. We're not going to talk about this today because I don't think it's true still. I still don't think it's true. This guy might be lying. I don't know how reliable that guy is, so I can't say one way or another. But Ahsoka has been nominated for some stuff for the People's Choice Awards for Best Female Star in a TV show and some other stuff. And Mando Season 3 has been nominated as well. All right, we're not going to talk about that because I still don't think it's true. And nobody reliable is really talking about it. I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Tony says, hit that like button. Yeah, guys, what are we doing? Hit that like button. How many people we got here? We only got 18 likes. I guess we got only 16 people here. That's okay. But if you haven't, hit one. And subscribe if you're not. Yeah, what are we doing here? We need a Star Wars trailer soon. I agree with that, John. I actually have been waiting for a Star Wars trailer, for a long time now, it seems like. And today we got this news, and it made me upset because we did get a Star Wars trailer today, but it's for the Star Wars Jedi Adventures, Young Jedi Adventures, and really disappointed me. I got the Star Wars alert on my phone. It looked like it was going to be a trailer. I clicked on it. It said arriving on February 14th. A new adventure arrives. I was like, oh, let's go. Something to talk about on live stream today, other than Ahsoka news, of course, in the Mando movie. But no, it's the Young Jedi Adventure. Nope. But if you do like this show, I mean, February 14th is your time. I'm just not looking forward to it. I haven't watched any of that show. I have not watched any of that show. So I could not tell you if it's good or not. Could not tell you. But tired. All right, I gotta get on out of here. I gotta finish up this short that I got for posting later today. Gotta start working on this video I'm doing tomorrow about trilogy for The Mandalorian. Watch out for that tomorrow. Watch out for the trilogy video tomorrow. Make sure you guys like that, comment on that, all that fun stuff. I'm going to get on out of here. You guys the absolute best. John says, I'm playing Battlefront 2 on multiplayer tonight. That's awesome, John. John, do you use an Xbox or a PlayStation? If you guys are on Xbox, add me. It's Dr. Gonk Droid. Capital D, capital G, capital D. Dr. Gonk Droid. On Xbox. Yeah. Great stream as always. I appreciate you. Hopefully we get a trailer soon. Hopefully get some more awesome Star Wars news to talk about. I'm excited. We could get a Bad Batch trailer. We could get an Acolyte trailer for sure. Watch Young Jedi Adventure with my grandson. What did you think, Catherine? Is it good? Dr. Gonk Droid? No, I'll type it in the chat right now. Dr. Gonk Droid. Actually, wait. Is that how you spell droid? You spell droid. Okay. I think that's it, I believe. Dr. Gonk Droid. I think that's what it is. Cool, Tony. I appreciate that. Get on tonight. Tonight. I might be able to get on tonight. I'm not too sure. We'll see. We shall see. John, are you in the Discord? Guys, if you guys are not in the Discord, any of you guys, join the Discord. It's in the description below. Free Discord. Anybody can join. It's awesome. We got a bunch of people in there. Fun Star Wars stuff going on. So get in that Discord. And of course, if you want to become a member, it's only 99 cents or $5 or $10, however you want to do it. But you get awesome, cool stuff that, whatever. You never use Discord? Download it. It's fun. It's just where you can talk. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Just download it. It's an app on your phone. It's pretty simple, easy. All right. We're going to get on out of here. Smash a like on this video if you haven't yet. Hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video, and my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. And of course, guys, don't forget to recommend some buttons for the new Stream Deck, as we only have This Is Where the Fun Begins and Hello There, and then a picture of me with Hayden Christensen, and then of course our live stream stuff, the members song. But the intro song, and then the sharing screen. So we need some more buttons on here. So don't forget to recommend some of those. So with that being said, may the force be with you. Always. And now I don't have to say whether that's a stupid button anymore because that button is right here. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, let's end this poll. End the poll. End the poll. See what this poll ended out at. Oh, the math is mathing because 100% of us want the Mandoverse trilogy. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. A great rest of your lives. Watch over that video tomorrow on the Mandoverse trilogy. And good night, everybody.